In this video, we're going to focus on how we can create a gradient effect here on the background color with a diagonal effect. So you can see here we have this gradual gradient effect, and here we have an instant transition from one color to another. So let's start to look how we can do this within the chart area. So let's start to look how we can create the diagonal gradient background color in the chart area in Chartjs. First thing what we need is we need to go to chartjs3.com to get a boiler template. This link you can find as well in the description box, specifically the getting started item. So once you're on here, copy this entire chunk of code. Copy this, and if you want to understand what this code all does, make sure you watch this video here. So then what I'm going to do is we're going to put that in here and cut this out. Put that in there. Just paste the title in here. Save, refresh, there we are. So what I want to do is I want to extend the size of the chart. So I'm going to scroll down here and say here this will be 80%. Save that, refresh, there we are. So now I'm going to scroll down here, and what we're going to do is we're going to basically in the chart area we're going to put in a gradient effect. So we need to create a separate plugin for that. So I'm going to say comma after the plugins, after the options. Then we put in, as you can see here, and then we have here plugins, brackets, and in the bracket here we're going to give it a name, and let's give this our ChartArea BG, like that. Copy that, and then what we're going to do here, enter, slash this, and I'm going to say here plugin block, and in here constant this equals curly braces, and then we're going to say here ID, like that, comma, and then we're going to we put in here the drawing time, and the drawing time will be here. Before we draw anything else, we want to draw this effect first. So we say before draw, and then we're going to put in here three specific objects or arguments, which is the chart object, the arcs itself, and the plugin options. And these are basically as well objects on their own. So we're going to copy this, and we're going to do an object destructuring here. And if you want to understand what is an object destructuring for Chartjs, there's a video in the description box with the title Understanding Chartjs Object Destructuring. So what we're going to do here, constant, and I'm going to say here curly braces equals that, and then what we're going to do here is CTX, because we want to draw on the canvas, and once we did that we want to have as well the chart area. And if you want to understand what is the chart area, I have a video as well in the description box, Understanding Chart Area for Chartjs. Very important to understand. And I'm going to say here top, bottom, left, right, width, height. And once I did this, I'm going to put in here, and what I'm going to draw here is basically a shape. Or first of all, I'm going to say ctx.save to save all variables above. Later on, we're going to restore them all, so to make sure we have this. So then what I want to do is I want to say here ctx.fill style. Basically what I want to do, I want to create a rectangle, but I'm going to give this a basic color for now, and let's give this a light blue color. That should be very decent. And once you have this, I want to say your ctx.fill, what is that? Sorry, it's rec fill, or is it fill rec? Sorry, it's fill rec. Sorry. And then in here we're going to put in basically the x coordinates, the y coordinates, the width, and the height. And basically what we want to do is we want to put it in here, but if you put in 0.0, we will start in this corner here. Luckily we have the chart area that really helps us, but let me just give you a visual. Let's say here 0, 0, so x and y in the corner top, and then let's make this 100 by 100, so 100 in width and 100 in height. So we get a nice rectangle or square. As you can see here, it starts there. But what I want to do is I want to start here. So how do we do that? Well, we have this item here, and that's the left line here defining the chart area, and that will basically start here. And then we have as well the top, which is basically this. So the x and y coordinates would be left by top. So let's put in here left, and then we say here top. If I save that, refresh, you can see here it moves nicely down. Alright, so now we want to have the full width here, and for that we don't have to do much. We have already the chart area settings. If I save that, refresh, there you are. So then you already guess height would define this one. Save, refresh. Alright, so now we have the item here, and you can see here, because we have the draw before anything else, means that the grid lines are still intact, and we can see as well the data set. So they're all visible. So what I want to do now is I'm going to put a semicolon here, I want to put it here up, or even before we do anything else, ctx.restore to reset anything we have done here above. And then what I want to do here is I want to start to change this, because this is light blue, but I want to have a color. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create a constant, and this constant we call the gradient color. And this gradient color is basically a CTX command, or a command in Canvas to draw a linear gradient color. So it's a CTX dot, and then here create linear gradient, and then here we have again the X, Y, and then here the width and height. So basically here, very similar to this, and we can just copy this, and let's see how the dimension will look like, because basically it will define how far we want to draw this. And if you want to draw only 50% of it, you can say, for example, the width divided by 2, and you will have then a shorter gradient color. However, I'm just going to leave it like this, and later on we're going to play around with that, so we can see and we have a nice visual. So once we have this, we have defined only one part. Next, what we want to make sure is, what are the colors? So let's say here, very simple, we're going to do gradient color. Basically, we just grab this constant here, and I say a dot, add color, stop, and in here we have basically the percentage. So how many percentage will the color be colored? And in this case, we will start at percent of 0. It's between 0 and 1. So the first one is like the starting point, it will be 0, it's somewhere here, or whatever we have defined here. Well, I guess if this is the starting point, left and right, or left top, it will be here. So if we would give this, for example, color green, that will be the green color then. So we're going to say here the following, there we are, we say 0, comma, and then the color itself. And let's get here some weird color, lime for example. Next one, what I want to do is I want to do another one. I'm going to make this blue. I'm going to say this is 1. So basically it will gradually go from here to there, from a greenish lime color to a blue color. So if I save that, refresh, alright, doesn't work yet. Why it doesn't work? Simply because we need to copy this constant, put it in here. Save that, refresh. Alright, so now you see we get it, but it is not very diagonal, and of course we can play around with that one. However, let me just play around one more thing here. So for example, what happens if we say divide by 2, save. What is happening is, as you can see here, halfway through the gradient color will effect and it will stop. And basically then, from there on, basically that's half how this is being calculated in a certain way. And then here it's only blue solid. So what we could do here, a few items. Well, let's play around with this first. I want to put this in the correct way, because right now it's maybe very tough to see. So what I want to do here is just change this, and let's say here we can give here our gradient. We can just switch this a bit. So let's make this oh, maybe this should be, I realize that this should probably be on the right side, my bad, and this should be at the bottom. Probably will see that in more better effect. Alright, so you can see here slightly better, but let's change this a bit. So let's say instead of starting at the top corner, I want to start here and then going up. So basically this will become green and that will be blue. So what I'm going to do here, exactly the opposite. Just doing here a mirror reflection. I'm going to say here this will be right bottom, and this will be left top. Save, refresh, and as you can see, it starts to shift around a bit. So what we could do more is, for example, I'm going to add up another color here. Let's make this red, and we're going to say here 0.5. Save, refresh, and as you can see here, what is happening? It will gradually go from green to a reddish color, and halfway through it will go from the reddish, because then it's fully red, it will go to a bluish color. And you can see here we can play around with that, because you can say here as well top, and this will be bottom. Save that, refresh, and then you can see here it changes slightly in angle. Of course, what we could do more is, for example, a instant coloring effect. So that's a instant transition instead of a gradual transition like a gradient effect. So we're going to do instant. I'm going to make this like that. Then what I want to do here is I'll duplicate this one. I'm going to say here this will be let's say here at 30%. So once it's after 30%, it becomes red here till this. And then here, when I'm going to duplicate this, it will instantly jump from one color to another. Then say here, at, let's say make 0.6, and this should be also 0.6. So if I save that, you'll see here a instant switch of color as well. So you can do it like that. And we can do top, right, left. You can do here different things. If I do 0, let's see what happens then. Well, basically it's quite similar. But if I do this one here, it will probably get a a vertical level. You can see here. So basically, to have a diagonal, we need to play around with these commands here. Let's put this back on top, and we say this one here at the bottom. Save. And of course, you can make these angles more sharper. I guess here, although I'm not very familiar with that, so you have to probably experiment with that. Maybe let's say here 700. Let's see here. Alright, that is interesting. Let's say here 1500. You get a very sharp edge. So you have to experiment a bit with this. However, with this you can do all kind of things as well, which looks quite nice. So if you enjoyed this video, and maybe you want to, for example, instead of this, you want to put an image in here in the chart area. In that case, I'm going to recommend you this video here on how to add an image in the chart area in Chartjs. We just put in an image specifically on the chart area, like what we did for the gradual gradient effect here.